Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to Ultimate Uno. This is the DC First Edition set. So we're going to go over the rules for how to play this game in case you haven't seen it, but they do have the Marvel set as well, which I've done a video on. The core gameplay is the exact same. So if you already know how to play it, you could probably skip a little bit into the video. But there are some new mechanics to the game, which we'll get to. But yeah, this is really cool that they're expanding it to DC, just add more characters. Some people like DC over Marvel, or vice versa. So hey, having options, plus they are they're fully compatible. So that's really cool too. So what is Ultimate Uno? So if you're familiar with the game Uno, the concept is everyone has, you draw from one deck of cards, and you keep playing matching cards down on the table until you run out of cards. When you have one card in your hand, you yell Uno. If you play that last card, you win the game. This essentially has the same idea, except with a bunch of twists. So yeah, let's just go ahead. Let's just look at the rule book here. So we have the objective here. I want to look at that. It says, be the first player to get rid of all the cards in your hand, which is the same as regular Uno, or be the last player with cards in your character deck. This is one of the big twists. So each player gets their own character decks. Instead of playing with the same shared deck between all four players, for example, each player will get to play as a different hero, which will have, like, over half the deck is the exact same cards each other player has, and then they each have their own signature cards. So it makes every player a little bit different. So yeah, like this thing has Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. And the other big twist is there's a danger deck that can pop up as well, which will add other hindrances to you and other players. So it becomes more of a strategy game than just a quick, fast pace of regular Uno. So also how you play Uno is, and this is going to have a very similarity, is you play cards to a discard pile matching colors in the order. So let's flip to the yeah, so I'm just going to jump right here to on your turn, how you play. The start of your turn, resolve any start of the turn effects from danger deck cards, action cards, or opponent controlled character powers. If you have a character power activated at the start of your turn, you may activate it now. So if you play a card from your hand. If you have a character power, activate that power. You play, resolve its effect now. Then you battle. If you have an enemy attacking you, and the card you play satisfies the defeat cost, you defeat it. Danger. If the card you play, the discard pile shows a danger card, flip over the danger deck, resolve its effect, end of turn. So, when you're ready to play a card, it says, if you have a matching card in your hand, you may play it on the discard pile. So, much like Uno, if I have a one red card, I can play either a red card or a one card. I just have to match one of the two different colors on there, either the color or the number. So you may play a card from your hand matching the top card of the discard by color, number, or symbol. So if it has like reverse or, skip turn. If you see an action card, it does something special. Or it says you may choose to draw a card instead of playing one, even if you have playable cards in your hand. So that's another big difference from the Uno game, is because typically in Uno, you have to play a card unless you can't. If you can't, then you draw a card from the deck. And there are two variations of that rule. Some have you draw until you find a card you can play. Other ones just have you draw one card and then you end your turn. It depends on what mode you're playing. So then what you have is your option. If you play your card when your turn ends, play continues to the next player. So if you do not have a matching card, you can either draw one from your character deck. If the new card can be played, you may play it. Now, if a new card cannot be played, add it to your hand. So you have the two different options. Either you may choose to just play a card, or you can choose to draw a card. Even if you have one that's played, but you have to do one or the other. And then it says, at the moment you have one card in your hand, you must yell Uno to alert other players you are about to win. However, if someone catches you and calls out Uno before you, and before the next player begins their turn, you must draw two cards. So that stays the same as Uno. So for the base part, this is Uno. You play a card, you're trying to empty your hand, Just there's other little gimmicks and effects going on. So it's going to be a slower paced game than regular Uno because it's not just going to be slap down, slap down, slap down, slap down cards, but it's going to add some other little strategery in there. Alright, so before the battle begins, unwrap each pack, but don't shuffle them yet. So that's just for the very, very first time you play. Just kind of getting an idea of, they probably like stacked a certain way. Choose which superhero characters to play. Find the character deck with that character's image. If there are less than 4 people playing, take any character decks not being used and put them back in the box. Separate your character decks from the danger deck cards. Combine each player's danger deck, and then shuffle them from to form one danger deck. Remember, only use the cards associated with the superhero. So this is every character has their own set of danger cards that kind of are like their enemies that they would work against. Like Superman will have a Lex Luthor card, Aquaman will probably have Black Manta, so on and so forth. And what you do then is whatever character you're playing, you put their cards in one deck together, but then when you play through the game, you could draw any card. So as Superman, I could draw Aquaman's villains or Green Lantern's villains. So it's kind of interesting that way. So that also changes the game up every time because depending on which mix and match of characters you have, that danger deck will always be changing. Remove the character card from your deck, place it near yourself, players can see it. Shuffle your character deck, take the top 7 cards of your deck, and form them in your hand. So we're just going to do a quick look at what some of these cards do. So we have 2 different card backs. We have Ultimate Uno, which is your danger deck. So it'll be the same for all characters. And then we have Superman's deck, which specifically have his back. So if we grab Wonder Woman here, it'll be the same thing. Here's Wonder Woman. We'll have her ultimate cards and then her deck. Her danger deck and hers. So that way you can mix and match those together. Then if we look at the front, we're going to have your main character card, which will just have their name at the top, have their symbol, and their special ability. Then you will have your regular deck. And now, I wish this had a different back, though, just so you could tell it was a separate card, but it's the same back. Then you have your standard Uno deck, which we'll go over each one of these cards individually, which include wilds, which have special abilities on them now. And that's your regular main deck. You shuffle that up, you draw your 7 cards. Then you have your danger deck, which can include a bunch of different other cards in there. Some villains, some event cards, some locations, and we'll go over all those as well. But those are the 3 main different types of cards you'll have. So you'll have danger deck, main deck, character deck, or character card set aside. And that's how your deck will end up looking as you play. So you have your character card sitting there, your draw pile, a burn pile, and an enemy location pile, and then the central play pile. So now, your burn pile is not your discard pile. When you play during your turn, you're playing a card, it's called discarding. You're throwing it into the central discard pile. So the card says to discard, that's what you're doing there. A burn is a new mechanic in the game. So there's 4 big keywords to play in here. There's add. Take the number of cards indicated from your character deck and add them to your hand. Draw. Draw the required cards, such as draw 2 cards from your character deck, and lose your turn. So the big difference between the 2 of these is both of them, you are taking cards from your deck and you are putting them in your hand. But the difference is drawing ends your turn. Whereas adding a card does not. So there's the big difference there. Because like when you have your turn, you can either play a card or draw a card. As soon as you draw a card from your deck for basically any reason, your turn ends. Then we have burn. Take number of cards indicated from the top of your character deck, put them in a face-up pile known as a burn pile next to your character. Note, burning cards must always be burned 1 at a time and placed face-up in the burn pile. Note, sometimes the card will instruct you to burn cards from your hand instead of your character deck, unless the location specified burn always means from your character deck. So burning cards is a way for potentially other players, sometimes you might burn yourself for various reasons, to lower the cards in your deck. Now, you do not want to empty your deck. You want to empty other players' deck. That's one of the ways they win. So by drawing and adding cards or burning other players' cards, you can getting cards burnt from your deck lowers your deck quicker. So you gotta kind of watch when you're doing that. Then recover, so take number of cards indicated one at a time from the top of your burn pile unless otherwise specified. Place them at the bottom of your character deck. So basically what'll happen is throughout the game, you'll play cards and you'll discard them to the central pile. Unless there's a special ability, just assume they're forever lost. You're never getting those cards back. Then what'll happen is you can play cards might go into your burn pile. Potentially that affects to let you recover your burn cards and regain your draw pile, which is essentially like your life. So that's more or less how the game is played. Over here we have our danger pile. So as you discard danger cards, you go to summer events, summer locations, things will stay out. So then we're going to look at those. Look at a couple other cards here. So we have winning. There are two ways to win. If you get rid of all the cards in your hand, you win. Or if you're the last player with cards in your character deck. So someone no longer has cards in their deck, they will lose. So it says losing your character's out if it ever runs out of cards, or if another player gets rid of all the cards. So as soon as you run out of cards, you are out of the game. You don't get to finish off your hand, so you have to be very careful. Then after the game, remember to match each character's deck with corresponding danger cards for easy setup. Action cards. So there are some action cards here. Note, action cards can be played on other action cards of the same type. For example, if the top of the card is a yellow reverse, you can play a reverse of any color on top of it. Wild cards can be played. So a blue 1 card can have either a blue or a 1 card on it. A blue reverse card can have either a blue or any color reverse card on it, just like regular Uno. So you have draw 2. The next player must draw 2 cards and loses their turn because they've done a draw. Reverse, when played, the direction of play is reverse. If the player moving clockwise, now moves counterclockwise. Skip, next player loses their turn. Attacking enemies do not affect you if you are skipped. Note, when you are waiting to have your turn skipped and you get hit by another effect that would skip or cause you to lose a turn, that effect is ignored. And then wild. So it's skip, draw 2, reverse are all very familiar Uno terms. Wild can be played on anything you want to play them on, no matter what cards in the discard pile. Then you get to choose the color that continues to play. The wild card in your character decks have special instructions. Read them. So like a traditional wild, you play it on a blue. You can now say red if you have red cards. It might help you get rid of cards from your hand. But they also have special abilities, and this is one of the other things with like the danger deck, which is going to make the game play a little bit longer. So the most of the time you'll have numbered cards, or you'll have these other action cards, but the wild cards to make the game a little bit longer. Just because they have an effect, you have to stop reading. If you play the game enough with these characters, you'll start memorizing them. Then finally, we have the danger icon. Some cards have a danger icon on them. When you play a card with a danger icon, turn over the top card of the danger deck. So if we then look at Superman's deck here, looks like every odd number in the red has a danger symbol on it. And then if we get to blue, it's all the even ones. And I think it goes green, it's all odd. And then red, it's all evens. So it's about every other card. So it's not going to hit all the time, but it is going to hit. We have character cards. Each character card in Uno Ultimate has special power you may choose to use during your turn. These powers sometimes come at a cost or require action to trigger them. Also, attacking enemies can temporarily alter your ability. So they just give everyone a little asymmetrical feel, so everyone has their own special ability right off the bat. There are foil cards, which we'll get into later, and you can buy more stuff. There's some reviews about what everyone does, who these characters are. We're going to kind of skip over that for now. We want to look at the last bit of content, which is the Danger Deck Appendix. Across all Ultimate Uno games, cores, booster packs, and add-ons, there are many types of Danger Decks. There are enemy cards, which are the most common. When you draw an enemy card, place it in front of your character. This enemy card is now attacking your character. If an enemy card is already there, it's replaced by the new one. So you can only have one enemy out at a time. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm doing terrible and I played 3 danger cards and I keep getting attacked and overwhelmed. You're only going to have one at a time. but it does not count as defeating them if it switches them out. An enemy is only defeated when the player plays a card that matches the type listed in the to defeat section. An enemy cannot be defeated on the turn it is drawn, and each enemy has its own defeat cost. Wild card cannot be a defeat card unless that specifically has the wild symbol. So you can see here on the King Shark card, up at the top left corner, he has what hero deck it goes for. If it's Aquaman, it'll match the symbol on Aquaman's card. Name of the character, of course. What to do when it's first flipped over. So this is its initial attack. So when it gets flipped over and you get the card, it's going to make you do something. Have some sort of effect. And that says, while attacking you, special rules you must follow while the enemy is attacking you. So this is one of the steps. Is after you play your card, the enemy will attack you. Now you initiate that effect. So that's going to hit you every turn from then on until you get rid of him. Or as long as he's attacking you. Sorry, as long as he's on your table, you're going to continually get that effect. So like with King Shark, your wild cards are now blank. So until you defeat him, your wild cards are half as powerful. And then how to defeat them? It says here, play a yellow card. Very simple. Just play any yellow card and he's done. And so there's other different symbols. Yellow, red, blue, green. Very easy. A number card, a wild card, an action card, or a card with a danger symbol. So very simple. Some of them might have harder requirements. They might require you playing multiple cards or different orders. Or they might have multiple options. Play a green or a blue. There are also event cards. Event cards immediately force one or more players to take an action. After the action on the event has been taken, it is considered complete. Place it into the danger deck or danger discard pile. Note, the danger deck runs out of cards. Simply gather it and reshuffle it. These are just one-time things. They hit. They might affect you. They might affect somebody else. So that's also makes this danger deck kind of interesting. Because if I draw a card from it, like I play Superman, he has a danger card, I draw it, it might not even affect me. It might affect one of the other players. I have item cards. Item cards add extra power to your character. When drawing, immediately place it next to your character. They are not character specific, so any player can attach an item card to their character. You may only have up to 3 item cards attached to your character at any time. If you draw an item card and already have 3 attached to your character, you may discard one of the attacked items or discard the one you drew. Some item cards stay in play for time, while others make you destroy them or take advantage for their effect. They'll tell you what to do. If another card tells you to destroy an item card, you don't get to enjoy the destroy effect when you do it. So that's basically saying if it says destroy this card to do this effect, it only works if you choose to do that, not if somebody else gets rid of it. Some cards have start of the turn effects. If you have more than one of these, you get to choose how they work. And then we have location cards. Locations change the game by creating a specific location for the action of the game. Each location is an iconic locale in the DC universe, and each location alters the game in different ways. Some are helpful, some carry penalties. The text on the card will let you know what to do. When a location is drawn, place it in the center of the playing area. It affects all players, stays in play until a new location is played or a different card destroys it. So you only get one location out at a time, and it kind of affects the entirety of the game. So location cards are brand new to the DC. They may or may not eventually introduce them to the Marvel. Item cards were just recently introduced into the Marvel in one of the later expansions. It's also a fairly new thing. The rest of the book is a Spanish guide, so you don't need to go over that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop into the decks and see what we have. Alright, let me just reset my table up here. So we're going to start with good old Superman, Kal-El. So all Superman's cards will have the little Superman symbol on them. I don't know why I pointed at my camera screen. He has Impervious. It says, when you lose your turn, choose a player to burn 2 cards. Yes, if it's just someone plays something that forces you to lose your turn for whatever reason, draw 2 cards, you lose a turn, something like that. Another player has to burn up to 2 cards. Now, what's also interesting to point out for cards like this is for more gameplay. It says, choose a player. You are a player. You can choose to burn 2 of your own cards if you would prefer. just a very interesting thing to go through. So we're going to go through the different colors, but since each color has the same artwork and numbers, I'm not going to go spam through every single card, but I'm going to go through each number. So we have number 1 here, which has Superman in that pose. Kind of a different artwork for each different card. There's a 2. 3 is bursting through some kryptonite. 4. There's a 5. 6. I love that I showed all the different artworks on. I know they're ripped right from various comic books on being brand new artwork, but that's still neat. So he has a +2. So he only so unlike traditional Uno where you have up to 0 through 9, here you have 1 through 6. You only get 1 through 6 because they have all the other cards. They want to go eliminate the numbers so they're matching a little bit easier. You get a +2, a reverse, and a skip. But now you're going to get those in every single color. So that was red. So blue will have the exact same things, just with, again, the danger icon now being on even sides versus odd. But it's going to be the exact same artwork on every card. So I'm not going to go through the other 2 colors because it's going to be the exact same cards. So we're going to get greens, which will have all the same ones. And then we'll have yellows, which will just have your evens again. So that's the majority of your deck. So right there, that's most of your deck there. That's 7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, 8, 9 cards for each color. So 9 times 4. That's, again, most of your deck will be regular Uno cards. So don't think when you're playing this, you're going to be constantly playing special ability cards. Like, over half the game will always be basically regular Uno with the wild cards throwing these extra little ones in there. So they have rarities listed for these. It's basically just the rarities or how many you're going to get. So we have a common, which is Sonic Boom, which you have 4 copies of. If there's a location in play, destroy it. All other players add 1 card and burn 2 cards. So they get to put 1 card from their deck in their hand, and then they get to burn 2 cards. But this only affects other players. So then we have an uncommon, which gets us 3 copies of Heat Vision. Defeat all enemies in play. All other players add cards equal to the number of enemies defeated. So this is a great way. So now adding cards is going to give your opponents more options. You'll give them more cards in hand, but it's also running their decks out. So it is a very interesting way to play. It's like Uno, like general Uno. You go to draw 2. Same thing with that. You're doing essentially the same thing. But they're saying add instead of draw because again, draw ends your turn. Then we have the rare ones, which have 2 copies of each. We have Frost Breath. Choose a color, then choose a player to burn cards until the chosen color is burned. That could really hurt someone, depending on what color and what they have in their deck. And then we have 2 copies of Super Speed. Reverse. The player or players to your left and right add 1 card. If there's only 1 player, they add 2 cards. That's kind of cool. So, so Superman's all about forcing other players to add cards and burn cards. That's kind of his deck or his gimmick. Alright, then we're going to look at his danger deck. So, of course, what would Superman be without Lex Luthor? It says, when flipped, all players burn 2 cards. So, usually the danger deck cards kind of theme very well with that, but then they kind of also go and, kind of hurt the player too. It says, while attacking, when a player uses their character power, they burn 2 cards. So Superman has one every time he dodges if he had Lex Luthor. But again, anyone could end up getting Lex Luthor, and to defeat, play a yellow card. We got our good old friend Bizarro number 1. When flipped, choose a player to add a card. And then while attacking, all character powers read as blank. To defeat, play an action card. Cool. And then we have a third one. We have Zod. General Zod. When flipped, all players burn 2 cards, and while attacking, all players use their character powers, they add 1 card. And to defeat, play Wild. So yeah, we get a couple of different ones there, which is very interesting. Then we have some event cards. We have Rescue. The symbol is on here, kind of trying to give you a quick idea of what they do. So it says recover 2 cards, choosing the other player to recover 1 card. So that'll help you out with all these burn effects. We have Deflection. The next action card that targets a player to not target you. Interesting. That's, I like that some of these are just, I'm not trying to like compare this to the Marvel, but there are some different effects in here, which is really nice. They didn't just straight up just repeat ones from previous Marvel sets, although I can definitely see it because there's a lot of content already. We have Leap. You may choose an enemy card and play in yours while attacking until the end of your next turn. That's fun as well. Then the last 2 danger cards we have are Locations, which are brand new to the DC set. So I haven't seen any of these before or how they work. So Fortress of Solitude, enemy cards when flipped read as blank. Nice. So that kind of just shuts it. And this works for everybody. So having Location out can definitely change the game because you can get it out and it could really help you out, but it could also help your opponents out more. Or, you might have to decide, is the benefit to you worth taking the benefit away from other players? So you have like Metropolis here. At the start of each player's turn, they may shuffle a non-danger card from their hand into their character deck, then add 1 card. Oh, neat. So they get put one of their cards back in there, they get to draw a new card. So neat. So they kind of shuffle around, look for something different. So that's definitely fun. Alright, so we're going to hop on to our next hero, Aquaman. So we got Aquaman, Arthur Curry, who has Aquatic Aftershock. So when you change the active color until the start of your next turn, the next player to change the active color burns 2 cards. So this could be a very hit or miss ability. Because you could play a wild, change it to a different color, and then if nobody just changes it, nothing happens. But it does force people to not change the color back on you, so that's kind of the whole point of it. I have a lot of blue cards. I need to get rid of blue cards. I play a while, choose blue. Someone else decides, nah, I'm not going to let him play blue. I'm going to switch it back to green. They have to burn 2 cards. So it at least penalizes people for doing that. Alright, then we have his cards, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go through 1 color, and then all the rest are the same. I love the borders are very unique and different on each card, besides just the artwork. They could have just had, like, a very generic picture of the character on there, but they didn't. So we have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. All a bunch of different versions of Aquaman. We have his +2, his reverse, and his skip. And then we have the blue versions. Should be the same. They just now have the danger on the even side again. We have green, which puts danger back on odd side. And yellow, which puts danger back on even. So again, all the pictures are going to be the same for each one, just in a different color. Same exact other stuff, so I'm not going to go through all of them. We'll just kind of save some time in the video. But we have his common power card, his wild. Sea of Storms. All other players burn 2 cards. If there's a location in play, you also recover 3 cards. It's nice that they made locations kind of an extra effect because they might not always hit. Especially so far, this is the only set that has them. If Marvel starts adding them in there, that'd be kind of interesting as well, too. The uncommon, which you have 3 of, is a Riptide Strike. All other players add 1 card. If there's a location, all other players also burn 1 card. So here, Aquaman is hitting everybody. So maybe he's not doing as much adding or burning as Superman was doing, but he's hitting all players instead of just single players. 2 copies of Titanic Tsunami. Choose a player to skip their next turn. If there's a Aquaman location in play again instead. Interesting. So you can either skip the next player, or if there's Aquaman, instead of just skipping them, you just get a second turn, and then that player gets to play again. So it's essentially just skip all that in that way. That's pretty cool. And 2 copies of Deep Sea Allies. Destroy the current location in play, which is interesting because he has 3 different cards that all involve. All this stuff involves wanting to have locations in place. Now you can destroy it. Flip a danger card, ignoring all effects until the location is revealed. Then all other players add 1 card and burn 2 cards. So again, it hits everybody. Now, one way to definitely make sure you read this is destroy current location in play, period. Stop. Then do effect number 2. Flip danger cards, ignoring all effects until the location is revealed. Stop. So then all other players. So if there is no location in play, you can still flip danger cards because the first one has that. The last one has a then. So it goes in conjunction with the other cards. You have to do it in that order. Alright, his ability, we have the Ocean Master, or Orem, his brother. Destroy current location in play. So that's going to really hinder Aquaman for his ability. When attacking, when the location is split by any player, ignore it and discard it. To defeat, play a blue or a green. So now you can see why you're supposed to include Aquaman cards with the Aquaman deck, because he's going to come in, he's going to potentially have the ability to hurt Aquaman's deck the most. We have Black Manta, burn 1 flip, burn 2 cards. And while attacking, at the start of your turn, burn 1 card. If an Aquaman location is in play, all players burn 1 card instead. To defeat, play a red card. And then we have King Shark, which we saw in the book. It's crazy they use that artwork where he's eating a hand. 1 flip, add 1 card in reverse. While attacking, your wild reader's blank, and your feet play a yellow. Our first event is Dredge. Take the bottom 4 cards of your character deck and place them on the top of your character deck. This could be very interesting if you have cards that let you put cards on the bottom. Quick Sync. All other players place a wild card from their hand on the bottom of their character deck, then add 1 card. And then we have, I think the third event on here is always tied to a location. So it says Destructive Wave, destroy the current location. Because I think Superman's was the same way, right? Nope, it wasn't. Okay, never mind then. Thought maybe they're always linked to a location. Alright, then we have his 2 locations. So, of course, we're going to have the Trench. This is kind of neat because it's sort of like 2 different areas that would be located with these characters. It's kind of like maybe a good and bad one, but I guess Supermans are both more or less good. When you change the active color, add the bottom card of your character deck to your hand. And then we have Atlantis. When an enemy card is flipped, all non-Aquaman characters burn 1 card. Interesting. So Aquaman's unique because he really plays with the locations, and then he has hit everyone effects. Superman was all about just burning and adding cards. Alright, up next we got Green Lantern. There's the back of Green Lantern's card. We have Hal Jordan's version. So I wonder if at some point, this is what would be interesting for DC if they keep going with this game for a while. Because there have been multiple instances of Green Lanterns or Batman. Like, I didn't know they stay with some of the main characters, but like Flash, like I wonder if they'd ever get to the point where they would add other versions, but I think they could probably just go around it. Like, Green Lantern would be the only odd one because there's so many different Green Lanterns that are very prominent, all act at the same time, but usually there's only like 1 Flash or 1 Batman. And like the Robins now all have their own separate identities, but it'd be interesting to see if they ever got to that point, what they would do if they had multiple characters. Marvel only ran into that slightly with Spider-Man because you have Miles Morales and you have Peter Parker, but Miles Morales is typically in most games just called Miles Morales. You don't call him Spider-Man in almost anything. So that's how they got around that. They could get around Green Lantern with that. They could just call him Guy Gardner, or John Stewart. Um, all right, so construct creation. During your turn, instead of playing a card from your hand, you may burn 2 cards and play a card from your burn pile. Interesting. That's a different way to play that. Here's his red card. There's this emotional spectrum behind him. Green. I'm gonna laugh if one of these are not Hal Jordan artworks. 3s. There's a 4, a 5, and a 6. His +2. His reverse. And his skip. And then we have the blue ones. Of course, we'll have some green ones here. And finally, we'll have some yellow ones. So I'm not going to go through each and every one of them since they're all the same. His common wild card is Immense Willpower. Choose a player to add 1 card. If this card is played from your burn pile, all other players add 2 cards instead. Choose a player to add 1 card. This card is played from your burn pile. All players add 2 cards instead. Oh, that's cool. So it's like it's kind of like a mild effect just normally played, but if you use your special ability to play it, it becomes a lot more powerful. That is neat. 3 copies of Impurity Burn. Choose a player to burn 2 cards. If this card is played from their burn pile, all other players burn 3 cards instead. Again, choosing a player means you can always choose yourself. So you can always choose to burn 2 cards if you want to get your burn deck up a little bit more. That way when you use your ability to play cards from the burn deck, you have more options right off the bat. That's really neat. It's a neat idea. 2 copies of Brightest Day. Defeat an enemy. Recover 3 cards. If this card is played from your burn pile, play again. I would assume you can only defeat your enemy, but it doesn't specifically say that. It just says defeat an enemy. So maybe you want to defeat one of the other players instead. I don't know why you would help another player out like that, but maybe there might be some reason. But yeah, it's if nothing else, you can recover 3 cards. You get to play again. And then his other one he has 2 copies of is Recharge the Light. Choose a player to burn 2 cards and skip the next turn. If played from your burn pile, play again. Very cool. So yeah, you get bonuses from playing cards from that burned pile by using his character card. So where did I put that in here? I just kind of shoved all these cards together so it got lost in there. Yeah, so just let's look at his card one more time. During your turn, instead of playing a card from your hand, you may burn 2 cards and play a card from your burn pile. Just remember, because it doesn't specify burning your cards, so they come from your deck. So you're going to keep constantly lowering your deck, but you're going to have the option to play them burn cards. So if you can get your wilds in there other ways, that can be helpful. Well, the thing is, you might burn 2 cards, and you might end up having to play like ones, like your regular reds and blue cards too. So that's also something to keep in mind. All right, for villains, of course, we're going to have Sinestro. When flipped, add 1 card and skip the next player. While attacking, cards cannot move from one location to another. So right there, that shuts down your burning ability. You can't burn cards from one deck to the other. To defeat, play a green card. Hector Hammond. When flipped, reveal your hand. It's not. I guess I was just saying most games it's not that big of a deal, but in Uno that could definitely be a game breaker. While attacking, when you change the active color, reveal your hand. To defeat, play a danger card, and then you get Black Hand. When flipped, burn a random card from your hand. Oh, random always sucks. And then add 1 card. While attacking, the active location reads as blank. To defeat, play a blue card. Interesting. Alright, so we have Stable Construct, recover 2 wild cards. Ooh, nice. Recharge, exchange a danger card in your hand with a card in your burn pile. Nice, you can basically avoid a danger while getting a card back. That's very helpful. And then he has Impurity, burn a wild card from your hand or burn 2 cards. There we go. So you can burn cards from your hand. Now again, this I think like some of these, like the way they have these lists in the deck is it's the first 2 event cards, the 2 locations, and then the last event, which is this one. So I think the last one's more geared, a lot more specific towards the character versus just kind of being more of a generalized one. Because most characters probably don't want to burn cards, but you definitely want to burn it so you can get in your pile and then you can get some extra effects. Let's look at our locations. We're going to start with Mogo, the Green Lantern planet. When a player chooses a wild card, they may recover 1 card and choose a player to burn a card. Nice. And then we have location Oa. When a player burns cards from the character power or wild card, they recover 2 cards. Player burns cards from, yeah, nice. So it works very well with his character. Not to say this couldn't help other players here and there, but it's going to obviously work better with him. Alright, so our last character for this set is Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. Amazonian Fury. When you defeat an enemy, choose a player to add 1 card and burn 1 card. So she's all about defeating enemies. And she's gonna make other players suffer for it. Alright, so her 1 card, her 2 card. At least you're giving her some different looks, some with her whip as well. Sometimes you get the gold, sometimes you're gonna get the silver colored scheme. Very interesting. We have a 5 there. That's some pretty cool artwork. 6 plus 2 reverse, and that's fantastic there. Her reverse card. Got some blues, of course. Some of the greens. And a few yellows. Alright, then let's hop into her cards. We have her common, which is 4 copies. Ends of the Earth. Choose an enemy card in the danger discard pile. Trigger its 1 flipped ability and may burn a card from your hand that matches its defeat cost. Interesting. So I wonder if that's probably considered being defeated. So basically you're choosing an enemy card, triggering its 1 flipped ability, basically bringing it into play, but then you can choose to destroy it without actually going maybe to your pile. 3 copies of Battle Rage. That's some neat artwork there too. I love that. Discard the top 4 cards of the danger deck. For each enemy discard, all other players add or burn 1 card. She's gonna burn through all these enemy cards. 2 copies of Pride of the Amazons. If there's a Wonder Woman location in play, all other players flip a danger card in play. If not, choose a player to flip a danger card. If the enemy card is flipped, trigger the 1 flipped and then defeat it. Neat. So if there's a location in play, all other players get a danger card. If not, just choose a player to flip a danger card. Then it says for if an enemy card is flipped from anyone, whether it's everybody or just 1 player, trigger the 1 flipped and defeat it. And then that's going to work right with her ability. I really got to stop burying these in there when I'm talking about them. Because yeah, her ability there is when you defeat an enemy card, choose a player to add a card and burn 1 card. So yeah, if you're playing a 4-player game, that could potentially hit all 3 players with that. That's kind of cool. And then her last 2 are Amazonian Assault. Ooh, with the bow and arrow. Defeat an enemy, discard the top card of a danger deck until the enemy is discarded. Give the discarded enemy to another player. Trigger its 1 flipped ability. Nice, you can shut down somebody else's enemy and then give it to either kill your enemy, give an enemy to somebody else. That is kind of cool. Alright, so we got some enemies. We're gonna fight against Poseidon. When flipped, choose a player to add 2 cards. While attacking at the start of your turn, all players burn 2 cards. Play yellow, red, or blue. Oh, sorry about that. We have Cheetah, makes sense. One of our iconic villains there. When flipped, choose a player to skip their next turn. While attacking, you cannot change the active color with a wild card. To defeat, play a yellow. And then we have Hades. I'm surprised Ares wasn't one of the 3. But, you know, maybe they're saving him for a different set or something. When flipped, choose a player to burn 2 cards. While attacking when another enemy is defeated, you burn 2 cards. Nice. So this could actually really hurt somebody else. Like if Hades gets played on another character and Wonder Woman just starts taking them out, she can keep making that person burn cards. To defeat, play blue. Our events are wonderful. There's a location in play. All players with 2 or more cards in their hand burn 1 card from their hand. Surprise attack. Discard cards from the danger deck until an enemy card is discarded. Place it in front of you, trigger it when flipped, then defeat it. Yeah, so this really only works, like, makes sense for Wonder Woman, at least in this context. Because there's no, like, reward for defeating an enemy, generally. It's not like you gain a reward if you defeat them. We have Wrath, defeat all enemies in play, which can be very helpful for some people. Hey, I get rid of my enemy, but it can also hurt the Wonder Woman because if there's no enemies in play, she has nothing to defeat the Wonder Woman. We have Themyscira for our location. When a danger card is flipped and matches a character currently in play, they burn 1 card. Matches a character currently in play. So it should be like, okay, I get it. So if I, basically it's saying if I flip over the Superman card and Superman's still playing the game, he gets damaged. Okay, makes sense. And then we have Olympus. When a player defeats an enemy, they choose a player to burn 1 card. Cool. So that is Ultimate Uno DC. So yeah, it has some very interesting stuff with adding back in the adding the locations in there. Has some new stuff. So 2 big questions that are going to come up about this are, first of all, where's Batman? You don't include 4 characters in a deck, so I believe he is currently an add-on that you can buy. I have not seen him yet available as of the time of this video. But then again, if you are familiar with the Ultimate Uno stuff, these decks are very hard to come by. Like, the base games are pretty easy, but all the rest of the decks are kind of hard, which is why I like doing these videos, so you can see whether it's worth trying to spend the money to pick it up for that maybe gameplay style. Maybe you don't like that gameplay style, so you might decide it's not worth it. The other question I'm sure lots of people are going to ask is, can I just mix all the danger decks together and just play 1 giant stack of danger deck cards for every character? I own this deck, I own the Marvel base sets, I own 3 expansion packs. Inherently, there's no reason why you couldn't, with a few exceptions on why it wouldn't work as well. It's just going to dilute, like, they're kind of based to, like, sort of attack that specific character's deck. Like, Wonder Woman's danger cards kind of go against what her deck is trying to do for the most part. So diluting that more and more is going to make just other cards that might not change it, but it's also make the game a lot more random. The one thing is we did just see, like, on Themyscira, just flip a card if it matches the character. If I only have 4 characters in play, and all of a sudden I have, 14 different characters in my danger deck, I'm probably never going to hit the same character very often. So it all of a sudden makes that location useless. Plus, with the added addition of locations, or like equipment cards, which the equipments kind of help boost up your characters, and locations can kind of help or hinder your characters. Like Aquaman needs a couple of Aquaman locations to work. Again, if you add, instead of having 12, whatever, it's like 10, 5 cards or 6 cards each, so instead of having like a 20 card danger deck, also you have like a 100 card danger deck, you're going to draw them Aquaman locations or the equipment cards for a specific character a lot less. So there is the downside of mixing all of them together. It's going to potentially dilute some of those characters. Now, there's nothing to say you couldn't do it or couldn't mix and match a bunch of different characters together. Your game, do what you want. I can even see mashing 2 characters together if you want. Take Superman, Wonder Woman, mash their decks together, play like half of their deck is the, like, one Superman has like red and blue, and then like Wonder Woman has green and yellow, like one's odd, one's evens, or something like that. Then take half of their, either just mash all their wilds together, or do half and half. Have 2 characters ability or 1 out. You could do interesting things like that. They're just not in the rules. Alright, the last thing we're going to look at is this 4 foil chase cards in a set. This is a weird gimmicky thing they did with this game, is they gave you alternate foils for every single card in the game. That are wilds. All the wilds in the character cards. So each character has 5 versions of they can get. So that means there is 4 times 5, which is 20 cards to collect, but you only get 4 per box. It's a weird collector thing to do because there's no other way to get these cards. There's not like other, at least of right now, there's not like single booster pack you can go buy that might have these. So just, I would say they're less of, let's see if we can collect the entire set, and it might just be like, hey, I get a neat foil to add to my collection. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. While we wait, we'll just drop that there while I open this. Yeah, so it's kind of weird because I, like, this base game is $15. There's no reason to buy 2 of them. You know, so trying to collect all of these random cards by yourself is going to be nigh impossible. You're probably going to have to go buy them online. The problem is, if it's going to, they have rarities to them, which we didn't really look at in the book. We can kind of check that out. They didn't mention these. I just skipped over it. So we have foil cards. One of these cards are collectible versions of wild and character cards using the actual game. You keep them for separate for collection or swap them out for your matching non-foils to make extra flashy deck. Note, if you use them in a game, you may experience wear and tear unless properly protected. There are 5 levels of rarity indicated: common, uncommon, rare, super rare, and ultra rare. So the common are going to be basically your wild card deck 4 versions. That's your common, which is why I mentioned it like that. You have your second one, which will be your uncommon. One of the 2 top cards that had only 2 versions will be your rare. One will be your super rare. Your ultra rare is always going to be your character card. The character card, though, I believe also has alternate artwork. But I've never gotten one, so I can't say for sure. Alright, but let's see what we got in here. So, we have a Wonder Woman card. Ding, ding, ding. We got Ends of the Earth. These are definitely cool because they're like full art versions of these cards. And down there's the green, so it's a common. We have an Aquaman. Dun dun dun. Sea of the Storms. Kind of, again, you can always add some of these in here, just replacements. We have a Green Lantern, which is an uncommon. Impurity Burns. Definitely neat. And we have another Green Lantern. So not guaranteed to get 1 for each character. Ooh, but we did pull a rare version. We have Recharge the Light, which is actually a really cool artwork as well. So those are the 4 ones we got. So if we pick up, they have more add-ons and stuff, you're not going to get these cards. You'll probably get ones from those add-on sets. So if, like, the Batman comes with, like, you have 2 other different ones, you'll probably get different Batman and whoever else is in that, like, block. Like, I think Harley Quinn was one of the other ones they were starting out with. And usually they probably have about 3 of them. But that's what we have for the DC game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Check out other ones. Check out the other Ultimate Uno sets. Again, this will mix and match with Marvel without any problem. Even though Marvel doesn't have locations and DC doesn't have item cards as of right now, there's no reason why you can't mix and match all of them. Because even the early sets of Marvel didn't have item cards. So, mixing them with the newer ones just changes how characters play. It just takes, everyone still has the same amount of danger cards, just some have danger and some have location or item cards instead. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.